there is another part of the report that will be presented shortly here. And the movement this afternoon is a little bit about, so what? What do we do about all these things? So it's not just about mapping all different scenarios, all different trends, but okay, so what do we do? How do we get really future ready? And for that, we will do one intermediate step that Gisele will take us, and we'll try to make a little zoom out. If you remember the map of the issues that was presented here, the orange islands, so we'll do a little kind of zoom out on that map, and not so much look into the islands like Alex and Ozge did before, but looking at the map as a whole. So what is this map is telling us? And then we will move into the step, okay, so what do we do about this as an academy? So just introduction to Gisele. She will take us into this zoom out exercise. A big applause to Gisele.
I had to wait day 3 after lunch, but yes, here I am. So I hope you're ready for a little input, but more philosophical about the future. So it's not so much anymore about scenarios and content, but as Darko said, it's a bit of a zooming out and trying to take a more helicopter view of the work that we did. So maybe you have seen that image on the poster of the first webinar we did, a lovely visualization by Mireille. And we were thinking in the team, but also yesterday through informal conversation with Olga, for instance, if we would put all these little glasses, one on top of each other, what would be the picture that we would see? What would just emerge from all these scenarios? I don't know, I don't have the answer. It would be interesting actually to try doing that. But it's really an invitation now not to look at things in a linear manner like Alex was inviting us to do this morning, but really look at it as a number of things that are completely connected, interconnected. So that's one thing that we believe is important to keep in mind. The other one is that the only constant in life is change. So if the quote from Matrix was a bit old this morning, imagine Heraclitus. I think it's 500 before Christ. But it's really the idea that it is impossible that one thing is the same at one moment. It will never be the same as it was before, and it will never be the same as it will be in a minute. So if there is one certainty in this world of uncertainties, is that the constant is change. And the whole question is, how ready are we to face change? Should we be ready to face change? We wanted to show this picture of a photography that looks like upside down. We don't really know. Maybe it's just growing below the earth. And this little kid trying to look at the picture. And there are many ways to look at it. So I would just be interested just to catch a few words here, like, what is your way of looking at it? What do you see? Water, tree, upside down. You see the kid in front, okay. What else? Yeah? Spilled ink, okay. Interesting. Everybody is moving away from the picture, okay. What, I didn't even think about all these things. Anything else? Performance? Yes? The world upside down, here we go. Black and white? Perspective? Rules? Roots, okay. Curiosity? Darko, of course. All right. The idea with the picture is that you can actually look at it like the kid is basically taking a flexible way of looking at the picture. He's being creative. Perhaps it's spontaneous. We know that kids, they are very fast in, catching ways to look at things. And getting really also in a way that he can see the trees in another direction, while the other people are looking at that picture in a normal way. There are many, many ways to look at this picture and to interpret what's the movement there to be able to see the photography from a different perspective. And again, it's maybe a bit of a metaphor, but it's the invitation of how much are we ready to look at things from different perspectives. Yeah? So we talk a lot about future readiness. And that's a word that you have been hearing a lot here, but probably also in other spheres. And it seems that it's slowly becoming the word that will be in our field for a while, as we had others before, and as we will have many others after. So we talk a lot about what this future readiness in youth work implies. Mindset is something we've already experienced the very first afternoon when we arrived. And I'm still having in mind, Andrea, what you said the first afternoon, I think, do we need to get ready for the future? And I'm still with this question of really like, do we? Or do we have a choice? I don't know. I don't have the answer, but I'm still with your question. I think it was a good one to think about this future readiness mindset. And then there's a question of future literacy, which can be about understanding, comprehending, embracing all what a future readiness mindset might mean. Agility, flexibility, adaptability, embracing uncertainties. Again, concepts and words that we are fairly, I think, used to. But it's also about the sense of agency, taking responsibility, really being able to say, I take actions towards that or towards that. So it's more than just understanding and comprehending what future readiness is, but it's about having really this sense of I have something to say, I have something to do, and I have someone to be in this process. And then it's about rethinking youth work social role, and there I can again in a way quote, or not quote, but refer to Hilary. Where are you, Hilary? You're there. You said, I think it was yesterday when Adana ended her input, you said that the state is more interested in what youth work does for it than what it does for young people. And I think that's the question, I think, of youth work today, and that's the question of youth work tomorrow. So when we see slowly what's coming, or when we sense what's coming, we have to re-question what's the role of youth work in this changing world. We cannot keep on doing things the same way. The constant is change. There are things that need to remain. You don't have to fix something that's working, but nevertheless, we need to adjust. So really rethinking the role of youth work for young people and for society in general is one of the questions that we want to underline here in this future readiness mindset. So when we ended all the mapping of the signals and the analysis of the signals and the clustering, so the areas that Alex and Özge were showing before lunch, we did the conscious step to look at it from a systemic way. So that's not what future foresight methodology is necessarily, but it's a conscious choice we made in the team to add this dimension to the work and to the research process that we went. So we wanted to make really a systemic reflection and trying to make sense of what has emerged in terms of scenarios, and the few slides that are coming are about that. So one is the technology. So you could see, if you remember, there was this mapping, and technology was this big round in the middle. And indeed, it's one of the areas where we got the biggest number of signals, which doesn't mean that it's the most important, but it's definitely taking place on the picture. So what is technology, or the technologic noise, create in terms of blind spot? What is it hiding? What's behind technology that we are not yet seeing or not yet ready to see? Are we excluding something? Are we forgetting something because our focus is attracted there? So when you will read the reports, have this question in mind. What is there not visible but emerging that we might not be able to really completely grasp? Because probably that's going to be what's coming on the horizon tree, I would say, timeline. Jan, you mentioned about you mentioned about the need to be able to look at the things that are unpleasant. I forgot the word you used, the adjective you used this morning, but there was something about we have to be ready to look at things that we might not... Hot issues, you said, yeah. So we also realized that in the signals, in the process, there are issues that are emerging that, of course, are not pleasant. I know that I've heard that it seems that the scenarios we came up with are rather optimistic, but in fact, when we read everything, and Alex said it also, there were many things that we were really like, well, really, this is not the world I want to be in. So there are issues, especially war, conflicts, mental health, climate, that we know are coming, or are already there, but might be increasing. And at the moment, we are a bit like, yeah, we have to address that, but... So there are issues that might be too painful to look at, but they might actually shape very much our future. So it's also about how ready are we to face that? What do we need to be able to face that? Chasing our own tail, mental health issues as a wake-up call. This is also about looking at whether we are focusing on the symptoms, COVID, cause, cause, or are we looking symptom, or are we looking really at the roots and the causes of the mental health? So again, how are we able to zoom out and look at mental health from a bigger perspective than simply a consequence of something that has happened now? It's great that light is being shed now on mental health and well-being issues. I know that in some areas this is still something youth work doesn't have to deal with that, but youth work will be confronted to that no matter what, no matter we want it or not. So it's a question again, how far do we go, what are our limits, and what these mental health issues are actually asking us to look at. So far so good? Yeah, it's great, huh? Thank you, that's for supporting. Youth work, place and size. So that's definitely a debate that's going on already for a long time. What would be the right place and the right size of youth work? And the questions behind that is, or are we doing too much? Are we taking too much space? Do we want to take too many roles? Do we want to replace the roles that we believe are not fulfilled by, I don't know, governing bodies, policymakers, and so on and so on. So what is the right place of youth work? What are the limits to youth work? Where do we need to say, sorry, we don't go there. That's not our job. That's your job, or that's your job, but that's not our job. So how are we able to really fix our boundaries, our limits, and also this in-between zone where we know we can navigate? And we see that a lot now, again, coming back to issues of mental health or climate. Yes, it's affecting us. Yes, it's definitely connected to youth work, but how far do we go into that? In the report, you will see a quote of Fritjof Capra that says that the mother of all crises is the crisis of perception. And what he says is that we live in between, or we have to let go two illusions. One illusion is the one of separateness, and the other illusion is about infinite growth. This is over. So it's a time where it seems that we are now calling, somebody mentioned empathy this morning. Where are you? Yes, you are there, exactly. So empathy, we can discuss whether it's innate or something we learn. I think kids have a sense of empathy that they forget about after. But nevertheless, it's about really inviting, and what I'm saying now is not new, but it's getting urgent, to have a shift from individual to collective. And that calls from empathy, that calls from collectivity. I take the responsibility for what I will say now. This is not what the team stands for, but I believe that the biggest damage the EU youth programs have done is to focus on individuals instead of collectives. So, but they did many other great stuff, don't take me wrong. But if there is one thing that didn't work, I think and that's connected to the society and the world we are living in. Now with solidarity coming in and so on, you have new concepts coming back. And that's great. But I think the invitation we see and we sense looking at the signals, but also simply at our reality, is that we need to think collectively. Doesn't mean that the individual do not have a role, but if we only focus on that, it's not going to work. So in a way, and the concept of infinite growth is also over. That's clear. We know that. That's not going to work anymore. So that's a bit the invitation with that remark. And finally, the last two before I share the strategies that we have developed or elaborated, it's that it is all connected and we are all connected. So again, if you connect to what Alex was saying this morning, it's not just about human beings, it's about animals, it's about insects, it's about the environment, it's about nature. Everything is connected. So, and everything in the report, all the areas and all the scenarios are connected. So we need to see this really as something, as a global picture that we might need to address step by step, area per area, but always keeping in mind what's behind. And in this youth work can very possibly play a role, because I think that's a message that I think I can say we stand for. And finally, I think that was the reflection you had yesterday at the end of the day. It's about learning and unlearning, again, concepts that we have heard before. So how can youth work support both processes, learning and unlearning in the sense of being able to put what we have learned, what we know aside, to make space for something different to happen, or for something different to be or to become. And having these messages or these remarks in mind, I'm coming back to the picture of that Alex and Özge were showing this morning. The size represent the number of signals we had. It's quite mathematical. And indeed, technology is in the middle, but perhaps because we simply started with technology, the table was big, we put it in the middle, and that's the way it happened. And perhaps not. Perhaps it was meant to be in the middle. But if you look at this picture from what we said now, collectiveness, interdependency, connection, all the concepts that we were sharing now, I think there's a possibility to look at the picture in a different way. So the arrows in black, they are the connections that were very clear when we read all the signals. The one in gray are already a bit the weaker one. We were not so sure. And you can see, for instance, there's no direct connection between war and conflict and technology. Really? Seriously? No. There are. Or climate and sustainability. So these little ones that are around in the periphery, let's say, values and ethics, war and conflict, climate and sustainability, we sense, but it doesn't mean that we know, but we sensed in the team that these might be the issues that we will really need to work with tomorrow. The rest is already present, the rest is already there, the rest we are already dealing with. Those ones might be the ones that will gain importance in the future in a way or another. I don't know. I mean, again, it's not about predicting. But there was really this, looking at the picture, we were around the table and then around the Miro, and we were like, wow. I mean, there are things that are really shouting there, like, hello, I'm coming. So this is a bit the philosophical approach that we have now when we developed the strategies that we will propose now for adapting to the future challenges. They are just proposals. They're just a result of 5 persons working around the signals and trying to make sense out of what we analyzed. So, especially in this resonance workshop that we did in Ljubljana in February, the question of sense of agency became very, very strong. This was really present in the room. And so in result of that, as a result of that, we thought that perhaps one of the strategies is to adopt a reflected, a grounded, an embodied sense of agency. So not just the word, but really like, yes, I can, I have to. So it's the position of co-creating as opposition to youth work being, you have heard that a lot as well, and I put myself in this too. Youth work is very reactive, but not so much proactive. And that's perhaps also simply because of the conditions we are working in. But still, we can and we probably have to be co-creators. So we have to take an active role, a grounded role in the development of youth work towards the futures that are coming. And it's a continuous dance between what's coming to an end, what do we need to let go, and what's emerging, so what do we need to embrace? Because we cannot do everything, and we should not do everything. So that's the first strategy. The second one is about providing more structured conversation space about the futures. We need to have that. This is one space, for instance. The convention will be another space. The European Platform for Learning Mobility is a space. And it doesn't have to be only big events or like the one you're coming back, the non-conference, Sergio, but there are spaces that have different size in different contexts, but we have to use all these space to really address the question of the future of youth work, starting today, of course, because as we said, future starts now. So that's one strategy that we propose. The third one would be about embrace the whole system change approach. That's really where we think that we need to look at youth work in a systemic and holistic manner. So whatever action we take, whatever move we make, that's almost a song, right? It was not planned, but it's, no, I promise. Yeah. Anyway, whatever we do, we have to think that it has consequences on the rest of the system. So any action we make influences the rest. So we have to take that into account, and especially at the policy level. Policy level, they are super good to just do this, and just do that, and just do that. And what they do might be really great, but it doesn't have the expected effect because it doesn't look at the whole system. And the last one is about stay alert for transformation calls. Again, the little exercise we did the first afternoon, thinking about what Adana was inviting us also to do on the day-to-day, these little things that you can try out. What you were saying this morning, Tomek, also about, yeah, why not also to try to talk with your neighbors, or at least that was Alex's suggestion to your remark. So to really shift a little bit our mind to this awareness of the signals that we have around us. And it doesn't have to be very complicated. It's just you can train your brain to do that, and your brain and your body, by the way, not just your brain. So these are just the little strategies that we propose, and that will lead probably also to what Darko will guide you through for the rest of the afternoon. What I can say as a conclusion of the process of this report is that, as Özge said, this is not the end. So we will try to include as much as possible what came out of this edition of the Academy in the report. It's planned to be finalized somewhere in June. And at the moment, the future of youth work fits in 50 pages. So let's see. I was checking again. Let's see, probably a bit more at the end, but that's just a way to say that the report is not over. So we really try to build on the outcome of the Academy, and of course, especially today. Thank you very much.